Have you realized how much movement has gone on in the transfer portal? We've had 3 solid shows now where we've done a ton of questions, and I'm going to do at least one more here, and I'm going to have some pretty heavy hitters. These questions will go a long way in deciding this year's national championship race, multiple conference championship races. The first one is that wide receiver room at Georgia, which wasn't anything to write home about last year, but they lost A.D. Mitchell. A.D. Mitchell, if you haven't been keeping score, departed for Texas. Now, they did not go without responding at Georgia. Kirby Smart went and got Ra Thomas out of Mississippi State. He got Dominic Lovett out of Missouri. Those were the respective leading receivers on those teams last year. Lovett was a top 10 portal guy regardless of position. So they lost A.D. Mitchell. Also, they are replacing a quarterback up there in Stetson Bennett. Once upon a time, we did not think that would be a major storyline, but things changed. Stetson Bennett proved people wrong, myself included. And now that is a gaping hole that you have to fill. Carson Beck, probably the guy to do it. They've already started spring practice at Georgia. I will be very interested because they are also replacing a coordinator. They elevated Mike Bobo to replace Todd Monken. So these are not necessarily headline grabbers. That's not front page news on CBSSports.com, but it's a big deal. If you understand what we're talking about here, that's a very, very big deal. Down in Miami, it's not even one position, although you could say line of scrimmage, I guess. But they lost 17 kids to the portal. Now, Miami fans, since they're already yelling it, I'll go ahead and tell them, hold on a second, I'll say it so you don't have to. They were bad last year. So anytime you're bad, our general rule around here is it's not automatically a terrible thing if you have a bunch of folks hitting the exit door. Miami's not the first place to deal with this. Arkansas is seeing it right now. And they won't be the last. They added high-quality kids from the portal, along with a really, really highly rated recruiting class. But a few of them, like Javion Cohen, offensive lineman out of Alabama, he was highly rated in the portal regardless of position. Matt Lee's an offensive tackle. Dean, defensive lineman. Devontae Brown, like these are all guys with a 90-plus rating next to their name. That's a 4-star or higher rating. And then you couple that with the haul they just brought in just traditional recruiting, and you start to wonder, or at least I do. Maybe my mind works different than some of you, but I start to wonder, okay, I think they're going to improve this year. I don't think Miami's going to be, 5-7, I think is what their record is. I don't think they're going to be a 5-win team, but I wonder how much they could improve. And I wonder that about a few of these teams. Miami's one of them, though. And then I start to think about last year and what the problems were, and then I think about the offense, with Tyler Van Dyke. It's kind of a jump all over the place thing with Miami. And you think about how they were either a favorite or co-favorite to win their division. Tyler Van Dyke was a guy that was preseason all fill-in-the-blank team in the ACC, according to various publications, and it just didn't happen. They had Broyles Award winner Josh Gaddis as their offensive coordinator. It never happened. It never panned out. So they've made some moves. A lot of moves, actually. And I don't necessarily know that we should expect the immediate spark out of the gate. Could be wrong there. But this is going to be a year-long thing to watch. Because here's the one silver lining of only winning 5 games is you don't have to go that far to go up. You can win 7 games this year, and it's an improvement. Plus, you make a bowl game. I think it may be in the cards, though, for them this year. See, I have not punted on Tyler Van Dyke and his ability to be a high-level quarterback. It's just that he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And he may still be, for all I know, it won't be improved. I just happen to think it's going to be a much more enviable position for him to be in this year than it was last year. What about Colorado? Speaking of programs that are just totally overhauling everything, everyone's got an opinion on where this is going to go. A few minutes ago, we started the show, and I told you, or I showed you that I had warned you that a lot of really, really bad faith arguments were going to be coming your way from people who were comparing March Madness and college football. College basketball, college football comparisons are always stupid. There's some stupid stuff being said about Colorado, too. And it's just started. Okay, that's the crowd that hangs around the trough the entire year. Imagine the casuals who only come back come fall, because they're going to repeat the same dumb stuff that you're hearing some full season casuals talk about right now, and it's stuff like Deion's overrated. They won't even make a bowl game. Like that's supposed to be an insult to a team that won 1 game last year. They could improve 400%. But because they didn't make a bowl game, I told you they were overrated. But this is about the transfer portal and questions about the transfer portal. Remember what we were talking about this time last year. Lincoln Riley had just gone to USC, and he had done something we had never seen before. It was the first pretty much total overhaul in the portal era, and they nearly won the Pac-12 championship. They were in the playoff hunt late in the year out there. Certainly not what I think is in the cards for Colorado this year, but something unexpected could happen in terms of result because the overhaul they've had is that radical at Colorado. And they have the number one portal class in the country. They brought in really dynamic players. Travis Hunter's out there. Shedeur Sanders is out there. They got Demoy Kennedy's just a random four-star linebacker from Alabama. High four-star linebacker. I don't think a lot of folks have also followed the staff they put together. Deion put together a really good staff, which is not something that we rate in the transfer portal, obviously. But nobody knows how big the spark will be, including me. I have confidence it'll be a big one. But they go from 1-11 to what? If it's 3-9, if it's 4-8, they got a tough schedule. That will be a remarkable improvement. And then anything above and beyond would be borderline miraculous. But I keep going back to the Lincoln Riley thing, and the more I think about it, the more I've come to think that maybe we'll just have one of those stories every year to varying degrees. Maybe there will be at least one place every year where they hire a new coach, and that coach just goes crazy in the transfer portal because they know that the leash is a lot shorter and they are expected to win immediately, and there's desperation and the portal's there to use, and they just go get this massive influx of talent, and they overturn like 40% of their roster overnight. There will be some version of that pretty much every year. And it was USC last year. I think it's going to be Colorado this year, and let's see how it works out. And keep in mind, although they've already got the number one portal class in the country, we are not done, guys. We still have spring practice and then the 15-day post-spring portal window, which I believe, Jesse, check this for me, even though we won't have time tonight. I think it's the 1st of May. I think it's like the first 15 days of May. So it's coming right after spring is the point. And the last one I wanted to talk about here is really two teams. And this is going to be a game this year that I think a lot of the country will have their eyes focused on for the first time in a long time, and that's Florida State Clemson. The game happens in week 4, okay? FSU, number 3 portal class in the country. Clemson, nowhere to be found. By choice, nowhere to be found. It is such a dichotomy of approaches. One of them has feasted in the portal. The other, again, voluntarily, has largely abstained. I think Clemson has one guy from the portal in this cycle. And Florida State is got a ton of kids. And they've done it every year virtually that Norvell's been there. And here's what interests me. Florida State has the same odds to win the national championship out of the ACC that Clemson does right now. So this will not be a year, for the first time in a long time, where we get into August and we're looking and saying, all right, it's Clemson and everyone else over there. Now, odds don't mean anything other than odds. But you know that odds have pretty much, with maybe one or two exceptions, the odds have matched the outcome in the ACC. We did a little feature the other night about different conferences and how many of their teams had won playoff games. And since 2015, I think the ACC had won 6 playoff games, and Clemson was all 6 of them. And so now we get into this world where two teams with very different approaches are being looked at by Vegas and saying, coin flip, you guys can decide. I think they play the game at Clemson. You guys can decide. Maybe that week 4 game will decide it. Maybe we'll be there. We haven't even named the tour this fall, but maybe we'll be there. Jesse has confirmed via teleprompter that 15-day window for the portal being open does indeed begin on May 1st.